Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today my A Christmas Carol inspired Uncle Sam clear and cling and stencil combo. Let me just say I probably should have gone with that stencil for this one and not what I did. But, you know, it's all good. And it's another old guy in a stovepipe hat. So really that was kind of how I thought of A Christmas Carol, because I was racking my brain for how else I could use the Uncle Sam stamp, and I was like, who else in my mind wore a stovepipe style hat? And so I ended up with Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. And so I was like, well, that's another old guy in a stovepipe hat. And so this one ends up being a traditional black stovepipe hat. And then, of course, I'm bringing in some greens and some reds to make it Christmassy. This time I kind of did a little bit more of a pattern to it. So I ended up going with, I want to say it was New England Ivy, and I think I did Holiday Red on this one. And then, of course, I'm bringing in those skin tones again from my Close to My Heart stamps. So Cashmere, Parchment, Champaign, maybe? I don't remember. I think those are the colors that I used for this one. And then, of course, I needed to do some stenciling. Now... Oh, first I do the beards. So I did do second and third generation stamping on this one to get some more color variations and some lighter gray and or white haired beards with just a tint of color to them. Now, I didn't have the stencil that I wanted for this one. I really don't have much for Christmas stencils, and so I was trying for a bobble look to this one, so I brought in a Circle Stencil, and it wasn't a full A2 panel or a 6x6. I think it's like a 5x5. It's an odd size, and I wasn't totally impressed with it. I really wanted a holly and berry like stencil, but I don't own one of them actually. It's on my list now. So I brought this one in. I kind of moved it around to make it work. I went over it with a lighter hand to kind of give it that, is it boughten? Is that how you say it? I really don't know how to pronounce that. I think that's how you say it. Look to it. So you kind of have that look of, you know, further back images. Of course, I did bring in my masks again that I used in the last one, if you missed number 2. And so they are not stuck down. They are just kind of haphazardly, well, okay, they were set on there nicely, but being that I moved the stencil so many times, they kind of moved a little bit as well. And so I was not impressed with my background technique on this one, and so to kind of cover that up, I did bring in some gold and silver splatter to, you know, hopefully mask the fact that my background is a hot mess. Does it look like, it doesn't look like such a hot mess once I've removed the masks, and I think it was just because those other shades of green on there, they just played with my eyes, and I was just like, whoa, and it's what I get for being conservative on my masks. So I'm going to cut this down, and I'm going to do it in a way that I'm just going to use, because I thought it was so busy and I didn't want it to be like the whole background panel for my card here. I decided to kind of make a frame with it. So I am using Lawn Fawn's stitched stack, both the big one and probably the small one. I'm kind of mixing and matching those to make myself a wider frame. So you get the illusion of Scrooge on it, but not, you know, the whole panel being Scrooge. So it's a little busy for the frame, but the rest of the card is fairly simple and kind of, I don't know, it just kind of mellows that overly busy pattern paper that I created. Does that make sense? I think that's what I ended up getting out of this one. So I'm coming in with some super thin foam adhesive tape here. It's just some 3M. This one happens to be black. It stinks, if you want to know. No, I don't tend to sniff it, but I do every time because I know it's going to sting. Don't ask. Yeah, it's me. So I'm going to lay that down on my frame here. So my back panel. My back panel piece is a A2 size panel, so 5.5 by 4.25. And then, of course, I also cut that panel, that small stitched piece, out of some glittery cardstock. So it's kind of a silvery gold glitter, platinum maybe. I don't know. And then I cut out some letters using Henry's ABCs. And then to get that little dash in there, because my humbug ends up being on 2 lines, I just kind of used one of my scraps there from the inside of the H to get that little dash line that worked. Otherwise, you could also cut another letter out and then just kind of cut a chunk off of it. But the inside of the H worked very well for that. And so I laid them all out on my kind of the same piece that my background piece is out of, and then I'm just going to transfer them over onto the glitter with some highlighter tape and some glue. So this way I can get them lined up exactly how I want them, add the glue onto them, and then press them down all at once. And then if you let them dry a little bit, they peel up a little bit easier. And so that's what I ended up doing with that second run through there. I had the little scrap of tape that I had from the first one, and then I'm just going to add that on top. I thought these were some adorably cute Bah Humbug cards, because if you know me, I kind of get, sometimes I get Bah Humbuggy by Christmas time. So that was kind of just, you know, I always used to say I was more Bah Humbug than anything. Not really, but, you know, it works. So for my second one, I am going to do another Bah Humbug. Well, what else do you do for a Christmas Carol? Because that's screwed, right? Like just the Bah Humbug. That was, yeah. So I am using that inside piece panel and kind of making a half and half kind of card. So that pattern paper is off to the side, and then I'm just going to bring in and do humbug on this one. I didn't want to do did I do the whole ball? I might bring in the ball. I don't remember. So I'm bringing in that humbug. Oh, I do bring in the ball. That's right. I decided I needed the ball. I wanted to just do humbug, and then I decided, nope, it needs the ball. So I did bring in some gold cardstock there to, you know, go with that gold splatter that I added to that panel. So I'm again going to do that same trick with adding the highlighter tape, adding my adhesive and or tape, well, glue, I guess, and then sticking that all down at once. It just makes for a lot easier letter placement when, you know, otherwise I end up with glue everywhere. Just, you know, I have drop-itis galore. And so this usually saves me, it saves me a teeny tiny bit on that drop-itis glue overage everywhere thing. So once those are dry enough, I will peel the tape back, and then I will put this onto a card base. And there are my completed Bah Humbug, A Christmas Carol, Old Guy in a Stovepipe Hat cards for you today. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will be back again soon with my next one in the series. Take care.